Here's a question. Never mind. We'll wait. Save that for later. She actually brings this up in this video, the second story. Is that her actual name, or does she haven't? Hillary brings this up later. It feels like you can do a good, strong female character. I was thinking of the one from Dungeons and Dragons, Michelle Rodriguez's character. Really well done. She kind of does kind of almost a... She sells it, put it that way. She is a person who just, like, a girl who's actually capable of selling that, yes, I could probably beat up some dudes or something, right? Gina Carano's character from Mandalorian, again, sells it. Most of the time, it's very hard to take women seriously in that role, though. They come off as kind of a, 7-year-old girl who's trying to play with the boys or something, right? Trying to prove her brothers that she's just as tough or something like that. Anyways, let's take a look at this. Strong female characters are just toxic men by the second story.
Stop me if you've heard this one before. This
probably
scene opens on a shop or a market. The female character...
This is completely unrelated. Do you think this is a real drink, or is that just for picturesque, whatever? Also, I think I had looked up the skull, because apparently that's kind of standard theater, whatever. So I think the skull is supposed to be from Hamlet. I think Hamlet is the one holding the skull, but the skull belongs to his former court jester, Yordic or something. I think I had known it was from Shakespeare or something like that. I think I thought so, but I wasn't sure if it was King Lear or something like that.
Comes in and starts to examine the wares intended in terms of size for men. This could be swords, guns, bows, some kind of weapon. And the male shopkeeper comes over and says, "Ah, a lady. It just so happens..."
It's kind of another thing that irks me. It feels like people are completely averse to representing exceptions as exceptions. In all the movies have to be about the exceptional woman, and you can never have ones that are just about, I guess, normal people in their normal roles. It's like they've tried so hard to break the pattern that they just created a new pattern where everyone is the exception to the rule.
That we have these lighter swords, these smaller guns, these differently made bows. These are all intended and made specifically for women who tend to have smaller hands, weaker grip strength, and so on. Would you like to try one? Then the woman laughs and girl boss and says something along the lines of, "Us lady folk can handle blah 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 big man size the same as any of you boys. Stop being so misogynistic." This is so incredibly idiotic.
You go, girl.
This is the exact same as some woman walking into a shoe store and the guy comes out and says, "Ah, you have smaller feet, so let me show you these shoes over here that are..."
Well, and again, people know that there are exceptions, but, like, the fact that there are exceptions does not mean that you shouldn't behave according to the rule necessarily, or I guess, maybe it's kind of the notion that making assumptions has been criminalized as an idea. Even if 99 times out of 100 a thing happens the way it happens, you have to act as though it's not happening 99 times out of 100. Somehow. I guess that makes sense to someone somewhere.
Are made in your size, but the woman stops him cold. "No," she says, "I am a strong female character. I will wear size 12 man shoes like strong man folk because I am no different from man." It's just incredibly dumb and it needs to stop. But these days, you can't make it through a single shelf in a bookstore without coming across something that proudly contains within its pages a strong female character. Such a trend is not limited to women's lit or YA, but has seeped into the content of literary...
I'm going to see if she actually takes a drink out of it at some point. I'm going to guess she would end up with some sort of milk mustache, or she probably won't. And somehow I feel robbed.
Fiction, genre fiction, mystery fiction, romance, middle grade fiction, and so on and so on. And this is true across all mediums: books, movies, television, and even video games. Stories ostensibly for men and stories for women. This isn't a sudden surge of female characters, but of specifically strong...
Also, this is kind of cool too. I'm assuming this is her PC. Well, like, that is a PC, right? That's what it looks like. whatever shape of it. I wasn't sure if it was just a fan or something, but I think that's a PC.
Female characters. Fundamentally different, we're told. Strong female characters are one of the many, many cancers threatening to destroy.
She named her skull. That's kind of cool. Otto. No, I think that you have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure that is kind of like a standard prop from the Hamlet play.
Storytelling here in the West. For a writer, the presence in their book of a strong female character is more important than the MFA they spent 6 years and $100,000 uselessly cultivating. If your book
What's an MFA? I'm assuming some sort of writer's thing.
Doesn't feature in some way a strong female character, then you might as well feed it to the confetti machine because no one else will touch it. You could look at this as an aspect of the female domination of literature that people sometimes talk about, and that is definitely a factor. Even when the authors are male, if at least one major character isn't a strong female, he will be shown the door. Or go the other way, even if the writer is female, if one of her characters isn't a strong woman of a specific type, she will invariably be bullied and pressured into changing it, provided publishers even bother pursuing her book. I get that.
Well, and that's kind of maybe the straw that broke the camel's... Well, I say the straw that broke the camel's back. But there's a glitch now, I guess. In order to get certain awards, you have to meet certain standards for diversity. Which is super annoying, I imagine, for people where you can't really be faithful to source material sometimes just because the source material, to be authentic with the source material would be to be racist in the eyes of the people doing the judging, or to be non-inclusive, which is stupid as all get out.
This might sound a bit disingenuous coming from a woman. As a female, shouldn't I be all about the proliferation of strong female characters? Shouldn't the increase in female representation make me happy?
Well, the question of strong female characters is a little bit weird. Because, like, I know what they mean when they say strong female characters. That's not... It feels like their definition of strong female characters is kind of a bit pigeonholed a little bit. It forces women to have to behave a certain way if they want to be strong female characters. I think she goes into that a little bit.
As a woman, where do I even start? First of all, I don't know what this is exactly, this bizarre explosion of this one highly specific type of so-called female character.
It just occurred to me that she's a ginger, but I guess we'll, go on with it.
But it...
I still think... I had it in my head that I actually reviewed a video of this woman a while back. I'm not for sure if I did or not. I think I at least watched one of her videos.
It isn't female representation, and it isn't female empowerment. It's actually the opposite, which I'll get into in a minute. More than that, these women are barely women.
Oh, yeah. It's like they take anything that is innately or intuitively female, the natural rhythms into which, like, women would tend to fall, and they demonize it as being something that men forced on women, rather than something that was just naturally occurring. Somehow, which is weirdly misogynistic. It's weirdly misogynistic. And again, it's that notion of the exception must be the rule. Oh, women aren't all like that, and they feel the need to acknowledge that not all women are like that incessantly and perpetually in all of their films, and make all of their women always the exception to the rule. Just stupid.
They are nominally women. In almost every case that I looked at, almost every story I read or watched, almost every character highlighted by critics as an excellent, strong female character, this female character typically had much more in common with men. It wasn't
based
just that her strength was portrayed in a masculine way, like that turbo cringe shot in Twilight when Bella started arm wrestling all the dudes. It was also that everything else about these women was very masculine, so much so that the fact that they were women was only evident by reading.
Here's I guess I'm not even sure if this would, I'm not for sure if these women were actually written as men, if it would play off well either. Because it doesn't feel like they're really good male characters either. Like, if you literally just switch the gender, like, would it pass? Would it actually pass as something that people would be okay with? I'm not for sure.
The pronouns if it was in a book, or looking for boobs if it was a game or a movie. Otherwise, there was no real way to determine that these women were women. For the record, in case this somehow isn't clear, I am not saying that female characters are bad, but rather this specific industry-branded strong female character. And a huge part of that is that genuinely female strong characters are wonderful, but you hardly ever see them anymore. I miss female characters. I miss the Ripleys and the Sarah Connors. I want more Jo Marches and even Meg Marches. I also don't understand why these women...
See, that's the thing. It feels like, again, even if these characters, these strong female characters, were played as men, like if it literally was just a dude acting the way that woman is acting, I feel like it wouldn't be a good male character either. He would just be kind of a jackass. Like, it's not, yeah, it's not just the fact that they're women. It's just they are badly written.
Aren't considered strong female characters. Maybe they are, but if that's the case, then why do people claim that there have only recently been strong women in stories? Were the Ripleys and the Sarah Connors and the Lucy Pevensies and the Eowyn not...
Well, if you define strong as a certain type of strength, then yeah, sure, you could say, oh, women have only recently begun to be portrayed as strong in movies.
Strong enough? Was there something...
I kind of have the same problem with, like, feminism, where they kind of almost insult women by saying that up until the present, all women have been kept down by the patriarchy. Well, yes, men and women did different things. Men generally had the majority of the, direct control because they were the stronger ones, and women weren't well suited to war and the hardships that life brought their way. So there was definitely gender roles. But to say that women were completely without agency because that was the case, feels like it's a little bit insulting to women.
Wrong with them? Were they not manly enough? There is something perverse in the fact that a strong female character must present strength in the way a man does. Women cannot, it seems, just...
I was thinking of the Village People song. You got to be a macho man.
To be strong. No, they have to be man strong. Otherwise, apparently, they're not strong and they're not worthwhile women. In a sense, this comes across like women as women are being pushed aside and that women as men are what is to be preferred or celebrated. That is, a woman is not worth anything unless she strips off her femininity and dons the masculinity of men. One example to get things rolling here would be Gillian Anderson's character in The Fall, Stella Gibson, whose behavior was deliberately and explicitly meant to be a female doing man things, including, memorably, picking up a random younger man in a bar to take back to her hotel room as a kind of weird show of sexual dominance. When she was later scolded for doing this, considering particularly that the man was married, she didn't acknowledge that there was anything wrong with her actions, but that it was merely hypocritical for men to have a problem with a woman doing something that was apparently, to her anyway, normal for a man. The layers of garbage.
Well, normal doesn't mean good. Again, if it was portrayed as a guy doing this, he would still kind of be a jackass, I imagine. Like, I'm not saying there aren't guys who would be like, yeah, look at that guy go out there and do, but like in a general sense, I think he would still be he wouldn't be a good person just because he was written as a guy rather than a masculinized woman.
Which there are astounding. Let's ignore the ludicrous implication that every man everywhere for all of time, according to the writer of The Fall, fully intends to sleep with literally every able-bodied woman who crosses his path.
Again, based.
And let's instead focus on the way this woman's complexity and character were built around aspects which she and the writer framed as at least socially masculine. This woman's strength was presented in her impulse to behave unapologetically in a way that was deemed common to men. This also highlighted her independent separateness from men and...
Again, common doesn't mean good.
Her social superiority to men, because, well, at least she wasn't a hypocrite about it. All of which also, by the way, somehow made her equal to men, I think. As such, she was lauded as a strong female character. More than that, Gillian Anderson herself pointed out that a part of what made Stella
Or alternatively, just a tool.
Gibson confident and strong was her masculinity, which suggests that in order for girls and women to be strong or impressive or confident or successful, they have to, in some way, be manlike. Let's just tiptoe around the fact that women in popular culture these days are being more and more defeminized. This ostensibly is being done to provide more strong, realistic female characters. But the result is characters who aren't just bad characters, and they aren't just non-female female characters. Very, very often, they're actually bad people, too. But because they're...
Yeah, well, and again, she brings this up later, actually, in this video, but she actually mentions Hulda, I think, Michelle Rodriguez's character from Dungeons & Dragons, which is a really good character, and a really good female character. But she kind of sells the whole, yeah, I could actually beat up someone, I could actually do some of the more manly stuff without sacrificing the more maybe feminine characteristics of her, part of her character. She plays into kind of both of those roles really well.
Women being bad in the way supposedly men are allowed to be bad, that makes it not just okay, but actually admirable, apparently. I don't know about other women, but speaking for myself alone, I find these horrendously de-womaned, anti-feminine female characters deeply insulting to the point that I feel womanness has not even been portrayed. To my mind, these are not female characters. I don't know what they are, but they aren't female characters.
Writing a book is hard. Knowing if it's good, even harder. Neat manuscript analysis. It gives
Ha! She did it. Alright, I was wrong. It's not just a prop, I guess she was.
There are 3 major things I want to talk about today.
And no milk mustache, but she did cut, so maybe she did, do something dainty or whatever.
Okay. Why are all these strong female characters so terrible? Why has it resulted in increasingly non-female women? And is there a better way to write a...
This is maybe going to be a hot take and a bit of armchair psychoanalyzation. I genuinely think the people who write these people really don't like men. Or they don't like heteronormative, cisgendered men. That's my hot take.
Strong woman. Spoiler alert, the answer to number 3 is yes, but we need to get through the other points first so we can fully understand where we've gone so wrong. That way we can, never make the same mistakes again. Number 3 is yes.
Oh, I was trying to figure out what was there. Why are all these strong female characters so terrible? Why has it resulted in non-female women? Is there a better way to write strong? Yes. Oh, okay, gotcha.
A better way to write a strong woman. Spoiler alert, the answer to number 3 is yes, but we need to get through the other points first so we can fully understand where we've gone so wrong. That way we can, never make the same mistakes again. Let's talk first about strength. This is a big topic and encompasses an assortment of issues. So first, we're going to talk about how absurd and insulting it is to present female characters as being only strong if they possess strength that is comparable to a man's. I have myself expressed fatigue at the overabundance of girl boss characters, and I've heard others say it as well. But something worth pointing out, the girl boss character isn't annoying because she's a girl boss, but because she's not a girl. She's some weird faux male. What have I done? Some ostensibly female character wearing man skin and man traits, pretending that that makes her a strong woman. It's off-putting. You don't have to be looking for it to see that the only strength allowed to be present in strong female characters is the same strength that is present in your average male characters. It doesn't matter that there certainly are women out there who can swing a sword or fix their own engine or accurately fire a Desert Eagle with one hand.
Well, and there's, I think she's very right in this, that there is, the notion that we need more men to be men, not really. I mean, there are already men to do that. Historically, I guess men would have actually done more of the living without women than women living without men. Like, women would often live in societies for the most part. Even nunneries or places like that would probably have had male servants to do things or stuff like that. But that's not to say that men are better off without women. Like, yes, they would go on military campaigns. Yes, they would, do settlements. I think men can survive, technically, without women, but women, being women, makes society better. I think they do perform a necessary or at least advantageous function. So no, we don't need more women being men and doing man things. We need them to be women.
The point is that nowadays,
Again, I don't consider myself a feminist, but like the only regard in which I would consider myself a feminist is that if a person is good at doing a thing, they should be able to do it for commensurate value, presumably. So if a woman's good at doing something, if there are exceptions to the rule, right, generally speaking, so maybe make room for that as well, but just in general.
representation in media would have us, and by us I mean both women and men, but especially women, believe that a woman who cannot do these things is inferior to other women who can.
9.
Because she is inferior to men. That a woman who has no interest in swinging a sword or who finds the Desert Eagle too big for her hands is therefore not ever going to qualify as a strong female and is probably being...
Again, back in the day, this was fine when it was kind of drizzled in there instant among other, like other movies, when it was represented as the exception to the rule, because it is the exception to the rule. Yes, there are women who can do these things. But now it feels like everything must be represented as this new and improved version of femininity.
oppressed or enslaved in some way or something, I don't know. To start with, I think it would be helpful to define and then unbox the idea of strong insofar as it pertains to characters and character building. In the earliest days of this trend, I assumed that a strong female character was one that was well written. My initial complaint regarding the demand for more strong female characters was that there were already hundreds of well-written women on the pages and on the screens of storytelling throughout history, throughout the world, probably thousands. In time, however, I was corrected in my apparently erroneous assumptions. Whether or not they were well written was not the matter, I was told. The issue was that they needed to be strong. What does this mean, strong? A lot of writers these days interpret that literally, that a woman has to be physically mighty to be even remotely impressive. The reality, like it or not, is that most women, even very trained female athletes, will fall short in physical strength when compared to men. This goes for the strength of a punch, to grip strength, to a whole host of other physical...
Well, even I think the fundamental makeup of their muscular structure is different, skeletal, different. There's a thing called it's like the hip to leg angle. Forgot what it's called, but that's different. It makes a difference in biking and a lot of, I think, leg sports, probably, maybe swimming, running. Just a lot of different stuff, all in all.
areas. There's a reason women have their own sports leagues and fighting leagues. It wouldn't be fair for women to have to compete against men. But there's nothing wrong with that. Women are under no obligation to be as strong as men. There's no rule anywhere that says women have to be considered as strong as men, otherwise that's misogynistic. It's not. It's fine and normal. So just to be
That's exactly what a misogynist would say.
clear, partly because I'm also a woman, I have no issue with
And a witch. Sorry, I can't let the ginger thing go without making a remark.
the fact that women are typically not going to be as strong men. That doesn't mean I think less of women, because
For the record, women with curly hair are also witches. Well, that's kind of neither here nor there. They're kind of half and half. 50-50 shot.
as we'll soon see, physical strength
Ill-tempered in any case.
is only one kind of strength, and measuring women against men is pointless. Women don't have to be as strong as men in order to be strong, even physically so. Strong women are impressive in their own right. They don't need to be man-strong to be legitimately admirable or even aspirational. At first
So says you. History began with Susan B. Anthony. No.
glance, it seems fine, even commendable, to portray the fact that a woman, too, is capable of masculine types of physical strength. However, it's...
Look, again, it just irks me that this kind of modern take on history and the feeling like the modern feminist movement, they're the ones who raised women up above their bedraggled, oppressed beginnings. That they're the ones who gave women real power. Like, yeah, sure. Sure you did. Good for you.
Suggests that for a woman to truly be strong, she must be stronger than men. But how a woman's physical strength compares to a man's has nothing at all to do with the existence of the strength itself. A woman does not cease to possess physical strength if hers is found to be inferior to or different from a man's. If a strong female character is being written into the narrative...
Well, physical strength might be the wrong term, but yeah, I agree. Women can be strong without being strong in the same way that men are. Anyways.
In order to be aspirational to female audiences, depicting her as being strong only because she has masculine strong traits will have the opposite effect in most cases. Women who are not stronger than the average strong male might view themselves as not only weak, but as a disappointment to their fellow women, inferior not just to strong men, but to strong women. Which leads us to the second point. This will present to audiences the idea that feminine strength, or anything at all that makes a woman less masculine, is weakness. This will lead women and young girls to come to despise their inherent femininity as something to be ashamed of. We have once again reached a point in history where young girls are being conditioned to be ashamed of their bodies. Why? Because if they're too feminine, then that must mean they're not very strong. Horseshoe theory, extreme modern feminism is indistinguishable from actual misogyny. So you see...
Yeah, it's not necessarily untrue.
Female characters will tend now to be written with less and less femininity because the modern zeitgeist has declared that femininity is weakness. It's madness, but there it is. Not to speak of the fact that women who go out of their way to try to be like men because they insist that it makes them better women are very off-putting to both men and other women. It should go without saying that I love physically strong female characters, like, for example, Sarah Connor or even Éowyn. I love the Shield Maiden.
I forgot about Éowyn. She's pretty cool, too. You know, she ends up getting with Faramir, actually, at the end of it all. I think he's appointed by Aragorn as kind of the governor of one of his provinces or something, I think. Yeah, they end up together. Which is nice. It's nice. Kind of thing. You kind of feel sad for her because she falls in love with Aragorn, obviously. She doesn't get Aragorn, obviously. So, again, I think Faramir was kind of a interesting character. Maybe there's more of it in the books than there is in the... I think in the extended cut of the movie, it does kind of actually hint that they are getting together, but yeah.
Maidens and the powerful ladies in ancient tales like Brunhild. But in times past, these types of characters weren't required to present masculinity as strength, but rather strength as strength. In all other areas, they were permitted to be women. Very feminine women. In fact, it was...
Sorry, a little bit of a diversion here. Yeah, I think I'm thinking in Lord of the Rings, after she's wounded by the Witch King, she kind of falls ill for a while, especially after, I think, Aragorn leaves or something like that. I'm not sure if it was kind of a little bit of depression or something. But I think in whatever case, I think Faramir kind of helped her get over some of that. So it was actually kind of nice little romantic scene there.
Is their femininity that gave them strength. Sarah Connor was a mother who turned into a mega badass so she could protect her son. Éowyn was a princess who, in the end, wanted only the power to protect her uncle, her family, and who still behaved with feminine grace and proudly declared, at the crucial moment, that she was most emphatically not a man, letting her long hair flow freely before delivering the killing blow. There's a reason Éowyn is admired by girls, because Éowyn's strength existed because of her femininity, not in spite of it. It's worth adding, in case this isn't already clear, I also have no problem with men in this male-female strength dynamic. Men are also not inferior to women because they're stronger than them. Men are
exactly what a misogynist would say.
Are not victimizing women just because they tend to have a stronger grip strength than women. This is all normal and fine and not something that needs to be fixed. But as I said, comparing women to men does a disservice to both parties. Only allowing a woman's prestige and strength and greatness to be measured against a man's is wrong, just as it would be wrong to measure a man against a woman. In certain areas, men and women can be considered equal, or at least as equal as any two human beings can be. But in many areas, particularly physical areas, they generally are not. This doesn't make one better and one worse, it just means they're different.
All right. That's a good place to leave it. You guys can check out the rest if you want. Strong female characters are just toxic men by the second story, aka Hillary something. Yeah, good video. Didn't finish it actually. I actually might go back and finish it at some point here.